we need to keep pushing the conversation forward, bringing as much awareness, as we can, because it is a hostile takeover, and who knows, gentrification could come along with it. People that's been in this town all their lives and all of their history goes back to this town could probably be misplaced
Yeah.
because of racist tactics from this comptroller. We have been putting in phone calls, calling the governor's office, the comptroller's office, the Tipton county mayor's office, and of course, ever since Friday, all I've been getting is, oh, they're out of the office for the day, or they're in a meeting. Like, you in a meeting 24/7, like the whole day you're just in a meeting all day, because they know that they're catching some heat, and rightfully so. So we've put together, with the permission of the mayor and vice mayor, we put together a GoFundMe, because we want to try to help our people out.
That's right.
And not only that, we just want to be the change that we want to see, because we've known in the past, like, things have happened to our historic Black Wall Streets, and some of them have happened before I was born, and some of them happened and I didn't know anything about it until it was too late. I
Right.
don't want this to be another situation where it's too late and we didn't react and help save our people.
Right, right. It's incredible. And I think you are absolutely right. This could definitely lead to a level of gentrification. And we can't let that be the case. We can't let that happen. First of all, shout out to Brother Tariq Nazeed for, and I hope I didn't mispronounce his name, for first sharing that and you picking it up and taking it upon yourself to do your research and your legwork. I did speak, just for everyone who's wondering how we're going to help, because this is what this show is about tonight, how we can come together and support them financially. We talk all day, every day, but right now this is where the rubber hits the road. We need to help save this 125-year charter. You just heard her say it, and it is a 63 or somewhere thereabout percent Black population. It is one of 8 cities in the state of Tennessee with a majority Black population. Let's not fool ourselves that this is by design. This planned hostile takeover by Tennessee State Comptroller, just as Ford Motor Company is preparing to open a 5.6 billion with a B, $5.6 billion plant that will make electric cars and batteries, because that is the wave of the future. And this town, Mason, is only 5 miles away from the new plant that Ford is opening. And for this town to have been left out of negotiations, consideration, there's something really, really wrong with this hostile takeover. And as KD just said, this has been going on for over 20 years. And all of a sudden now, that this town could actually get on equal or even beyond economic footing. Now he wants to take over. This makes no sense to anybody who can read at the elementary school level. So what we're going to be doing here tonight, oh, the mayor is here. We're going to be sharing both links, because there are 2 links out here. Let me bring on the mayor, because we want to hear from him before he has to go to his meeting. Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Are you able to come on screen? You don't have to, but we're happy to have you here, Mayor Gooden. Can you hear us, Mayor? I can't hear him. Can anyone hear the mayor?
No, I can't.
No, not yet.
I
Not
can't
yet.
hear him. Mayor Gooden, you may have to unmute your microphone, sir.
Okay, there it is. It's unmuted.
It's unmuted. Mr. Mayor, are you speaking? We can't hear you. Oh my. I don't know what's happening. Let me see.
Did you unmute or did the mayor unmute? Because
No, the mayor unmuted.
Okay, so he's there.
There he is. There he is. Good.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, are you speaking? Because we still can't hear him. We can see you though. We got you on video. Yeah, he's speaking, but we can't hear him.
He's on a cell phone. I think he has to. He has to click join live audio or something like that, live internet or something. He's gonna try again.
He'll come back in.
Yeah, I have those types of complications when I'm trying to StreamYard from my phone.
Oh, okay. I've never even tried it. But listen, I was just getting on a tangent. But these are the things that we want you all to hear, because if it hadn't been for the spaces being hosted by KD and me meeting Eric there and so many others, I wouldn't know these things either. And we're just trying to raise the amplification of what is going on in this predominantly Black town. And I'm not going to stop saying that, because there's no surprise that this is happening now. The mayor's trying to come back in now. Eric, you want to go in and say something while we're waiting for the mayor?
I was going to add to that. So, we try to, for the Freedman Party, try to host spaces Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And we heard about it from someone from Tennessee in our space earlier that week. Oh, let's see if we can hear the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can you? Oh, gosh. We can see you, Mayor. We can't hear you still.
Mayor Gooden, you may have to disconnect from your are you on Bluetooth?
Yeah, check Bluetooth.
Yeah, you may have to disconnect your Bluetooth, sir, so that we can hear you.
Yeah, while he's getting set up. So it was about Monday or Tuesday of last week, we hosted a space, and someone from Tennessee came in and told us about what was happening with Ford and the Comptroller. And it was very new. So I said, let's connect in the DM and see what we can do. Still can't hear you. Make sure you turn off your Bluetooth.
Just turn off the swipe down and turn off the Bluetooth on your phone. Just disable your Bluetooth, and then you'll hear everything through your phone.
So basically, someone came in our space and told us about it, and so we were like, send us a DM, and we could create a call to action. The next day, I saw Denise's space and KD's space, like back to back, and everyone was in each other's spaces. And so I connected with KD in her space. I connected with Denise in her space in the DMs. And, from that, we basically got the banking information from the mayor. We got permission. KD got permission from the mayor and the vice mayor. And then she checked with the lawyer. And then, while all of that was happening in that space, I was putting together the calls to action to make it easy for things to be tweeted out. Put together the change.org. And then KD helped figure out the fundraising mechanism for the public. So we have a way to do it privately. And then we have a way to do it for the public where we don't reveal the banking information through the GoFundMe.
Excellent. And you can feel free to put it in the comments, and then I'll post it here, because that's really why we're here tonight. His device is not, he's going to come again. Everybody listen, we're going to try to get his voice on here before he has to go to his meeting. I know it's trying to be blocked, but that's okay. We're going to get him on here. The only person of the leadership, and I know it's separate because you just explained it very well, Eric, is Denise's voice. I didn't get a chance to reach out to her. I think I visited more, maybe a couple of spaces that you were hosting or co-hosting, KD. In any event, according to the mayor, both mechanisms of sending funds, supporting are fine with him in the city. You're back, Mr. Mayor. You ready? Even if you're sideways and we can hear you, we're gonna listen to you.
Is your volume up? Is your volume turned up on your cell phone?
I feel like I heard something like a child's voice. I'm going to bring him back out. Okay.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, because I see he's still trying to talk, but it's not. We're not hearing it. And so listen, everyone who is here, and you know that you usually follow Black Talk platform, you know that for me to do a special edition, a call to action, is that important to us as a collective. This is our opportunity to show the world that we know how to come together to make things happen for ourselves. We don't have to ask and wait for others to do it for us. This is our opportunity to help. So let's do that. Let's do that. KD and Eric will eventually give us those links to share at least the GoFundMe, because as Eric just described, we want to keep the banking information private, and then the more public information is the GoFundMe. Okay, I know I am referring to, I can tell you, KD is responsible for the GoFundMe. This is with the approval of the mayor. If he's able to speak, he will come on and attest to that in a minute. This is nothing for anybody on this platform's personal gain, not even the mayor's personal gain. This is for the residents, the citizens of Mason, Tennessee, so they can maintain their sovereignty. We all know that there is a war going on in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. And the talk that we keep hearing is that Ukraine is a sovereign nation being taken over by Russia. And everybody on this side in the United States wants us to be up in arms about that. But wait a minute. Tennessee is one of the sovereign states in the United States. The people of Mason, Tennessee, duly elected the mayor, the vice mayor, and the aldermen, and all of their elected officials. To my understanding of what sovereign means, I think Mason fits the description, as we are being inundated daily about Ukraine, of what is a sovereign residence. So they deserve to maintain their charter, and that's why we're here tonight, to ask you all, and we unapologetically ask you all to support the fundraising goals that have been set up in place to save this 125-year charter of ex-slaves or ex-enslaved people, your ancestors and mine, so they can maintain their property, so they can maintain their land. Because I did hear somebody make the suggestion that eminent domain might be a consideration, and we don't want that at all. So Tony has dropped out, but he put all of these links here. I want to make sure that that's your link, KD.
Yeah, those are the links. That should be the GoFundMe, the donation, and then the petition. And then if you click the ones that say tell, it'll pre-fill the tweet, so it'll tag everybody that needs to be tagged, okay, and puts out the call to action.
Awesome. Oh, that was you, Eric. Okay, great. So let me try to put them one by one.
Also, great analogy with the Ukraine-Russia thing, because this is our Ukraine-Russia. I forget who tweeted that out originally, but this is our fight.
It is.
It would be like if Black Wall Street was getting bombed and taken over right now. Like, this is a 71% Freedman town. We got to do what we can right now to save that town. It's like the story of the Good Samaritan. This is not the time to be questioning how they got to being, beat up on the side of the street.
Right.
You're like, oh, were you drunk? And let's take a drunk test and all this stuff like that. It's like, no, how can we help? And let's move forward,
Awesome. Well said. He's back. Mr. Mayor, can we hear you? Oh, man. Gosh, darn it.
Did you unmute your microphone, Mayor Gooden?
Let me take that off so we can see his face. You did. Do you have earplugs, like the plugins? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna call him on the phone.
Turned off on your phone? Turn off the Bluetooth on your phone. Like, make sure it's disabled. It's disabled?
He said it's off. I'm gonna see if I can call you, and that hopefully it won't give a lot of feedback. Let's see.
Yeah, maybe just call him directly.
Mr. Mayor?
Uh-huh.
Hi, it's Dr. Jenkins.
Hi, Dr. Jenkins.
Hi, I don't know why we couldn't hear you, but we want to be able to hear you. If you could put your speakerphone on, can you all hear the mayor? You can. Oh, they can hear you. Okay, Mayor, I know you have a meeting to go to. Thank you so much for coming on. I have him on the phone, everyone. This is Mayor Gooden. He is the mayor of Mason, Tennessee. Mr. Mayor, share with us what you can, what you want in this time before you have a meeting to go to.
Yes, hi everyone. I would like to say thank you all, each and every one of you, for helping this my small town. We're about to go into a board meeting tonight, and we also have a meeting with Manpower on tomorrow. He is instead of sending these messages out, he's telling people that people from Mason has talked before. We hadn't talked before. No one here has talked before at all. And he's just stutter striving and telling us that he's coming in on March the 28th to take over all finances. And that right at this time, we could not even spend $100 without getting permission from him, from Manpower. And my answer is, why are you, and how do you think we're going to run a city for only under $100 a day? And we can only spend $100, and anything over 100, we got to report it back to you, and for you to approve it. And starting the 28th, he wants that 22,000 some odd dollars, I can't remember exact payment done on the 28th, and he wants us to pay that before we pay any bills. And that means any bills, and when you say any bills, that goes down to you can't pay your employees until he's satisfied with you paying that $22,000 back a month. Right now, I feel that Manpower is really attacking this small town because of the Blue Oval and because of he's trying to help one of his counterpartners in Covington, and that's Mayor Huffman.
Mm.
And I feel that he's trying to help him, and he wants them to get and reap all the benefits. If he put us in the county and rip our charter from us, that means he'll put us in the county, and we'll be under the county jurisdiction, and we won't have a say at the table. We won't have a say of nothing. Everything will be whatever they give us is what we get. We won't have anything. And I really think it's unfair because Mason has owned his own charter for over 120-something years. And this Mason is a historical site. People don't know that we had a depot here in the town of Mason. And people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. Manpower, he really surely don't know because he just got appointed his position 2 years ago. So how can you go and say what you know? I don't think he does know anything because you got appointed 2 years ago, but then you're going back on hearsay, and you haven't did any. Me personally, I don't think you did no full investigation until you said something about Blue Old Ford is coming 4.5 miles away. I mean, we actually can throw a rock at it and be there, and be right there at the Blue Oak site. And he knows that Mason has potential. That it's gonna, it has the potential to rise.
Right.
And they don't want to see that because of the small black community, with predominantly all blacks in this community.
Right. So, Mr. Mayor, what is the $22,000 supposed to represent that he's saying he needs by the 28th?
That's the repayment plan. That's a repayment of to the water funds.
To the water funds. And okay.
It's a repayment from general to water. That's what that represents.
Okay. And so that's an installment on on what is owed.
Yes. That's what he wants done every month for the next 27 months. Wow. He wants that done. If it's not paid off in full or before or however, right now, and that's my biggest question for him tomorrow, when I do meet with him, what if it so happened Mason be blessed me, we get a chance to pay this off before this 27 months? What happened?
What happened?
Go away. But also my attorney, I talked with him, and he's going to be at the meeting tonight because we have a meeting after a meeting, and that's one question I need to ask him. And I know, and we need to put it in writing to Manpower. I will never, ever trust Manpower word of mouth. Nothing he says, I'm not going to trust the word of mouth. He's got to have it on paper.
Right.
And I'm going to have to have the attorney to look at it because because I'm not going to trust anything he say, because to me, he could have another tactic along the way that he sees Mason. He sees Mason is on the rise, but he just wants to hinder us. And we're just now finding out that the comptrollers did help this predominant white community in the southeastern Tennessee part of. They was in worse trouble than we were. They actually went in and gave them the money to help straighten their books out.
Are you? Oh my goodness! So that's a part of the story I had not heard. So this is definitely bias and racism.
It is, and I would honestly say, yes, it is that, because of the fact you want to run a black community that has a potential of growth and, you know, being a better town, being a prosperous town.
Right.
And you don't want to see that happen because of the fact your friend in Covington, Tennessee, is the county. He needs Mason. He needs Mason for his little. He's doing it's like the RV park. It's not an RV park, but more or less is where he's going to have warehouses and things that. And he needs it because he needs the sewage. He needs our sewage, and the way he can get it easily is by taking it over.
Sure.
And he can, honestly, if he takes it over, he's gonna come right in and run his sewage out there, and he can have all he wants because he has the permit to do it. Then, because Mason owns his own sewage, water, and gas, and they have their own permit. And they told me the state turned Huffman down a permit. So that's why now what's the best thing? We'll go ahead and attack Mason because we can take Mason over. That's a smaller black town.
Oh,
and there's
my
black
goodness.
people there, so let's take it over.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Let me ask you, Mr. Mayor, KD, did you want me to ask or okay. So we were talking earlier. We wanted to know, has your attorney applied for or requested an injunction from either the county mayor or the governor's office?
That's exactly what I'm actually trying getting in here in a second here and talking to the attorney and ask him how he filed the injunction yet.
Okay.
And can we file an injunction? What would that look like?
Okay. I think that's a really good way to go. This is so crazy. Let me ask you, Mayor, is Covington the same town that they bailed out that has the same situation, or is there another town?
No, Covington is not nothing. Covington is fine.
Okay. What was the town you were speaking about, though? The predominantly.
That's up in southeastern Tennessee.
Okay.
Now that's not around here. That's up in the Hicktown.
Okay.
Up toward Nashville area.
Oh, okay. Yes. But nevertheless, they dealt with the two towns in a different way. A heavy hand with Mason, and we're going to walk you through this because we're going to make sure you come out okay with the other town.
Right.
All right. So I have my sister. Yes. Go ahead, Eric.
So, if I can, I know Ross, Arthur and Angie with their group, they had Judge Joe Brown in a space last week, and so if I can connect Judge Joe Brown with the mayor, that would be great, so he could help on the legal side in terms of advising, because he's been on YouTube and talk in spaces talking about like the legal options that, like, for example, that you just mentioned. So I think his perspective, is much greater than mine on that. So if we can make that linkage happen, that'd be great.
That was for you, Mr. Mayor. You see, we're all here trying to help because it doesn't matter to us that it's a small town. It matters to us that they are trying to dispossess Black people. Let me ask you a question. Are most of you homeowners? Like, you have houses there, or are there a lot of apartments? How is the city situated?
Homeowners.
And so, Mr. Mayor, is it reasonable for us to believe that eminent domain could be a part of this? I mean, you just talked about it in terms of the sewer, but in terms of people's home, their property, could it possibly come under that type of aggression?
At this time, I don't think he would go to be that crazy and try to do that, to try to take, people homes at this time, unless he comes to a fact that they need a certain area.
Okay.
And right now, we're looking at, because of the community that I live in, we can walk to, I can walk to the city hall. From where I live, we live in a small community, and it's in a rural, small area.
Right.
But it's just that he just want to take over the Black community because he sees it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I have to say, I saw a news article where your residents were meeting in a church. I don't remember the name of the church, but it was predominantly Blacks in that congregation, but some of your white residents were there too. Is there a division in terms of how your residents are seeing this hostile takeover, like the whites versus the Blacks, or vice versa?
Well, a lot of the Blacks are the majority of the Blacks, that I have spoken with, that has come around, they're very upset about it, because the fact, their whole question they asking me, why now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I tell them, I'm asking the same question. Why now? You had 20. You say 20 years. You had 20 years to intervene with something that's going on.
Right.
When you all knew that these people was misusing this town money, and the town wasn't getting the service that it was getting.
Right.
And you want to bring on now? He asked me the question. Well, what do the town offer the citizens? I said, we offer what everybody else offers: water, gas, sewage, sanitation. And he looks at me and says, "Oh no, that's all? Okay, what do other towns offer anyone? The county, we pay county taxes every year. We pay city taxes and county taxes. But if we pay county taxes, what do the county do for Mason? Nothing.
Right.
The county has never did anything for the town of Mason. Nothing. The county's supposed to allocate so much money per year out to the fire department in my town.
Yeah.
Do they? No, they do not. Because the first thing he hollered, "Oh, your audit's behind." What that got to do with anything? You knew that when the other people was in town and you was helping them out.
Right.
But then once they leave, you pull back everything.
That just seems so illegal on every level. On every level. You're providing fire and police services as well as all the other normal services that even a city like New York provides for its citizens. That, like you said, is all that every other town does. You're not doing any less than what New York City is doing for us. So go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, see, he asked me, how many employees I had. I told him the town at that point we had a total of 26 employees. Well, 6 of those is a total of 7, will include myself. It's the aldermen and myself. Well, since then I have lost 2 police officers, and his whole words is, "Well, I'm coming in, I'm cutting everything. I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut that." What can you cut? We're living basic off bare minimum at this point in time.
Have you heard from the governor or your congressman, or need I say your senators?
I talked to our legislator once. I talked with her, and she claims to tell me, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be there to help Mason. I'm with Mason 100%." But in the newspaper, you goes and turned around and said, "Well, whatever One Power wants, we're gonna do it. We're gonna help One Power."
Who is that? Do you want to drop her name, or I can look it up?
Moody, representing Moody.
Moody.
I think her name is Deborah Moody.
Okay. She a Black woman?
No, she's white.
Okay. This is just incredible. Tell us, Mayor, we know you have an important meeting to get to. We're going to stay up here. We're going to continue to talk, because why we did this is for you to come on and share what you wanted us to hear. But I do have another question about the residents before you have to leave, if possible. But we want to get our listeners. We want everybody who's listening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Please share this live while we are here. Share this live. Get people over here because we're going to drop the links. We are dropping the links. We need to help Mason. You heard him. You heard the mayor. They need $22,000. That's just the beginning of this extortion by the comptroller of the state of Tennessee. Yeah, I didn't mean New York. Of Tennessee. Tony. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you. Let's share it out. Mr. Mayor, let me ask you, I understand that you said that some of your residents are coming up and asking you, why is this happening? You want to know too. Do you have mostly the support of your residents? Do they support you in your efforts to maintain the charter for the city?
Yes, ma'am. They're supporting 100%. Awesome. They want to know, what are we doing? I'm like, we're working hard. We got people out there trying to help us. They like, okay, why he want to take our charter? You know, and I tell them, you know why? Because we're black. Yeah. They want to have control over everything. They want to have control over all access because they looking at the money that's going to come in. Yeah. So why not? Why not take that small black community? Which at first, if to me, to be honest, I can tell you, and I wish I could find it, that there was a letter circulating once upon a time, it's been some years back, where the county mayor had sent to Tiffany County mayor has sent to Fayette County's mayor and asked Fayette County, can you adopt them over in your county and get them in the Fayette County? I'd rather push them over in the lake than have them in Tiffany County. Wow. But now you want Mason. Now you really need them.
I resent the language because it harkens back to slavery, if you ask me. Adopt grown people? What?
And that's what it is.
Wow.
I have a question if the mayor can hear me.
Go ahead.
Yes. Hey, Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Is there a way that you can somehow compel the comptroller or anyone from the state to articulate specifically why they're taking such punitive actions against your town as opposed to other neighboring towns that experience similar financial adversities?
At this time, he says because of the fact Mason is behind in their audits, and they're behind, and they've been living off a water fund, and that's so not true. My administration we has not been living off a water fund. We actually been trying to straighten up everything since we got into this mess. When I came into office, we was actually 5 audits behind at that time. 5 audits. And I have caught all the audits up into 2020. Wow. And I have my 2021 is in the auditors. Right now, we're reporting over everything to the auditors every day as he needs things right now for the 2021. And my question I would like to ask him, and I'm going to ask him tomorrow, why you can't wait till our 21 audit get done?
All right.
And then let's see where we stand at then. But that's not nothing he's proposing. He just want to do what he want to do. He want a strong arm and take over because he thinking he's almighty and he can take what he want to take.
I will hope that you all can include a demand for an audit of all the finances of the other towns, neighboring towns, in order to justify what they're doing.
And that's actually why my attorney is actually going in with me also tomorrow.
Good.
Okay, good.
Can I ask a question from the audience really quick?
Yes, of course.
This is from Rella, who's in our space. Mm-hmm. She asked, Mr. Mayor, can you request an investigation started by the citizens and the mayor?
I repeat that.
Can you request an investigation started by the citizens and yourself?
Yes, I can request it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I have a question for the mayor. Will the meeting that you're going to have with the comptroller tomorrow, will it just be you and your attorney, or will it be you, your attorney, and the vice mayor as well? Because we want to know how, we can support you when the meeting takes place tomorrow.
Well, we actually have my attorney, myself, the vice mayor, my finance team, a district attorney, and Mr. Oh my God, Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner is also going to attend.
From the NAACP?
Yes.
Are you happy with the way they're supporting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're stepping up to the plate.
Okay.
And they're coming out, and we're trying to find out what the next step's going to be.
Okay. I mean, it just seems so curious to me that there were 5 audits behind, you've caught them all up, and that the 2021 is on point. It's in the auditor's office, and yet he's still insisting on taking over your town. It doesn't make any logical sense. So it has to be the economic implications that are coming with the Ford plant.
It doesn't make sense to anyone at this point why he wants to do it. Well, he just wants to help someone else out, and he don't want to see this Black community grow.
Yeah,
right.
And I think
that's the bottom line.
Go ahead. Are there any other questions before the mayor has to leave? Is the vice mayor going to join us in your place so that we can keep fleshing this out, Mr. Mayor?
I'm gonna try to get her on it. She's actually in the meeting right now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to get her to join in here shortly.
I have one quick.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, just one quick question. What would that Ford plant mean economically for your town? Would it represent a sizable windfall, as far as property taxes and other revenue that would be generated in that surrounding area to bring like a certain level of prosperity to the residents? And do you think that that's a factor in why they're trying to take over and eventually probably gentrify this area?
Well, right now, what the town will profit from it is probably the business. Some business is moving into the town.
Of course.
And I'm pretty sure that you would have residents from that Ford plant would move into the town of Mason.
Sure, absolutely.
And also, it'll benefit my residents of getting a job.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs going to be right there. A lot of my residents drive 40, 50, 60 miles a day.
Wow.
One way to work.
Wow.
And it's possibility that they can obtain jobs out there.
Sure. So it's there. The economic empowerment is there. It's right. Yeah. It's literally right next door, but they're trying to control how that looks for your residents and yourself. I mean, you are a resident there as well. And this is incredibly crazy. Listen, I know you have to go, but we're not pushing you. As long as you stay, we're here talking to you. Tell us what are the 3 things that we're all across the nation, Mr. Mayor. We are all across the nation, but this is how much we care about you and your people in Mason. What can we do? Tell us what 3 things we know about the economic piece, and we're pushing out the GoFundMe here. What can we do to keep the attention on it?
If I can get some help with pushing that manpower guy, putting pressure on him to push him to back off of us. And if I could get to the governor himself to get him to, hey, back off of them. Let them breathe. Let's see where they're at. Let's give them an opportunity like we give everybody else.
Right.
But right now they're not doing it.
Has the governor said anything?
The governor has not said anything. The governor appointed Munpower in his position. Munpower only been in that position, like I said, for 2 years.
Wow. How is the racial? What is the racial makeup of the state legislature?
That I couldn't tell you at this present time.
Okay.
That's what I couldn't tell you at this present time.
No, it's okay. We know it's a very deep red state, and that doesn't always mean the horrible thing, but it is in Tennessee. We know it's not great, and I don't mean to disparage your state, but I know one of your state's U.S. governor, senator. She's not really a great person at all. So you're not going to get much help there. Okay, so we need to get the pressure on Mumford, but you're meeting with him tomorrow, and so we'll Yeah, my friend is asking, can we do a phone drive to call the governor? Yes,
Yeah.
they've been pushing out the numbers. Did you just put those in there too, Eric, for me to share?
Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to leave now. I'm
Okay,
gonna try to get
Governor.
my vice mayor in on it in a few seconds because my
Thank you.
meeting's about to start.
Okay, thank you. We'll hang up on this and she can call right back in.
Good to have you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
you.
Mayor. Appreciate you.
Woo. This is so crazy. Oh my goodness.
Isn't it interesting that the moment Black people reach a level of prosperity or impending prosperity, something, some independence, that the state comes in some way to try to take it over and take it away, snatch it away. I think we have to remember that, like in areas like Mason and other geographical areas across the country, wherever Black people come together, right? Wherever they start to migrate to these areas and they increase in population, you notice that they gain more political power. Because remember, when you it's pretty much about prime real estate, like here in New York as well.
Yeah.
That's the leading factor in gentrification. But I see the vice mayor is coming in, so I don't want to keep.
Oh no, that was the mayor. He was clicking out. He was still
Oh,
there.
okay. But yeah, it's like this simple formula for gentrification, and it's also a way of obstructing Black people from amassing too much political capital because, they're in these prime geographic locations that are desired by white folk.
Oh,
So when things start looking a little bit too good and too promising, which also can threaten the status quo as it pertains to Black political ideology, thought, and some actual true progress for us, there's always some clever way of imposing, coming in and trying to fix a problem that just doesn't exist.
Right.
So this is like Black Wall Street. This is like so many times before where we've seen that Black people are heading in a direction to prosperity, and there's some type of way of snatching it all away.
Yeah.
And we got to start speaking up about this, because I'm telling you, we're under attack and it's not going to cease. And we're in a time right now where we're seeing this government and its representatives grossly overstep their boundaries. And the less we protest, the less we push back, the easier we make it for them to continue to get away with these things. So we cannot normalize it. We can't just kind of sit back and say, oh, well, not my problem, because eventually it is going to be your problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to add to that really quickly, a lot of times we're on the back end. It would have already been the 28th, and now we're trying to fight to get control back once the Comptroller took over. So I definitely want to shout out KD for that, and Denise, and because both of those combined allowed us to get ahead of it at least.
Right.
It would have been great if we had even more time, but at least we have the time we do have, and we can work with that. And really make sure we nip this in the bud before it grows,
Absolutely.
And I just want to give a big shout out to the family, to the Secure the Tribe Spaces, because what they've been able to do with Twitter Spaces, and they've allowed me to be able to come in and contribute to much needed conversations, because they set that tone so that we can be able to push the conversation forward and be able to amplify what's going on in Mason, Tennessee right now. I just want to give a big shout out to my family, Secure the Tribe. I just want us to keep on going forward with this. We got out in front of it. I just want us to stay in front of it. I want everybody that's listening right now, we have an assignment tomorrow. We are going to get on those phones. Yes. We are going to call the governor. Let's blitz that office tomorrow.
Right.
I called today several times, and the response that I got was, oh, he's in a meeting, or he took a late lunch. That's okay. I'm going to keep calling back. And if you follow me on Twitter, you will see where I've provided an update to the phone numbers, because what I had at first, they were incorrect. So I've corrected those phone numbers, and I do have both of those phone numbers listed on my Twitter page under the Save Mason TN hashtag for the governor and the county governor, Jeff Huffman. We can't let him off the hook either, family. Okay. We have to get on those phones tomorrow. Let's keep the hashtag trending. Let's not let this go. We have to keep on pushing the conversation forward. I want this to be the topic of our discussion. As soon as we wake up and log into these social media apps, the first thing we need to be tweeting out is save Mason TN. And I just want us to keep on doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. That's
Just real
great.
quickly, just to build on what you said, like just 10 seconds, someone in the comment section said that they're organized and they're intentional in finance. And when we keep that in mind, we know that they're very skilled at obfuscation of what is going on. They're very skilled at hiding the details of what they do, which is why I think it's very important for this consistency. Just like you're saying, you can't get them, keep going. You got to get through, and we have to force accountability. We have to put them in the position that forces them to articulate specifically why they are engaging in certain actions that they're engaging in. That's very important, because if you notice, when it comes to racism and racists, they don't like to articulate that they are racist. So you must force them in the position to properly explain themselves and justify properly why they are doing the things that they're doing. And more often than not, you'll see that they won't be able to do it. So we have to remain consistent.
Absolutely. I want to go on. Don't go yet, guys. I thank you, Rodney. My 2 cents, my friend from Twitter, he posted that MSNBC posted about it 4 days ago. It was on the Readouts blog, which is good because I honestly have made the switch to Aisha Moody Mills on Black News Channel, because at least they keep Black stories in front of us. They are not inundating us with Ukraine. And until we have what we need to go to the sources that see our pain and see our need and consistently share about it. I'm happy that Joy Reid did this. I am. Her blog, now she needs to do it at the 7 o'clock hour. When she does it at the 7 o'clock hour, I will be the first one to stand up, shout, and run around the room, because we can rise up in our positions and we forget about the people who pushed us up. And that's why I have switched from 7 p.m. on MSNBC to Aisha Mills, because she's bringing the stories that matter to Black people. This is not throwing shade. This is throwing accountability back in Sister Reid's lap. I want to see it come off of that blog and be highlighted in between the stories that she has to do because her network requires it. But she needs to make this a footnote on her show. Now, y'all can hate me for that. It's okay. It doesn't matter to me, because I'm here for Mason and I'm here for the Black community. And I'm not going to give accolades to people who look like me, but who are not staying on code. I'm not doing it. And I know I've mentioned Aisha's name a couple of times. I've been pleased with what I've seen over there. As soon as she switches to, you'll hear the same thing come out of my mouth, because we cannot afford to support our people who look like us, getting into elected positions, coming for them next, elected positions and on our newsways, and they cannot stay on code enough to give us the stories. Let me tell you about MSNBC. MSNBC was slow with the uptick about the Black students. I'm going to call them Black, but the African students who were not being allowed to leave Ukraine. They were slow. It took them almost 2 weeks to give a whole story. By then, they had done exactly what KD, Denise, and all of you are doing in the Twitter spaces. They had already galvanized. They had already found a way, because they were not going to wait for American media to come through and help save them. They did it on their own. And so if we have to do that, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Go ahead, Eric.
Doctor, so, you mentioned the Ukraine-Russia thing. The craziest thing, they've gotten $15 billion so far, right? And earlier in the week, Zelensky basically did a video chat into Congress and talked to the entire Congress and asked for another $1 billion. And he did it by invoking Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, I have a dream. He says, I have a dream that we'll get our airspace closed. You know what I mean? No fly zone. I have a dream, blah, blah, blah. So that tells you the mayor Gooden should be able to Skype into or Zoom into Congress and be able to get at least $600K to pay this off, let alone $1 billion. You know what I mean? If $5.6 billion is coming in just for a plant, you know what I mean? So that's where we have to focus on heightening the contradictions and showing where things need to be done correctly.
Exactly. In
And I
fact,
just
when he
wanna,
did
I wanna,
invoke that, I was a little offended because he sort of desecrated the speech by talking about the airspace, you know.
Exactly.
And if
and I
the
just,
airspace is taken over, I'm sorry, Katie, if the airspace becomes the issue and we do that, listen, black and brown bodies will be going over there drafted. Okay, so we better get our prayers right if we're going to keep praying. I said that to the people at the church yesterday. Everybody ain't going to accept that, but that's how I feel. Think about your own, because they're definitely thinking about theirs, and so is our full Congress that includes black legislators. Go on, Katie. I'm sorry.
and I just wanted to touch on the Ukraine situation. I just want my Black American family to know that
Mind your business.
yes, for one, and for two, what's going on in Mason is our version of Ukraine.
Of Ukraine,
Okay,
that's it.
so we need to stay on code and remain on code, and we need to put our Black American brothers and sisters down in Mason, Tennessee first, because that's
V1.
right.
We won.
That's what we resonate with. Okay,
Yep.
I don't want to keep saying about no pray for Ukraine and all this, that, and the third. I'm not. That has absolutely nothing to do with what we got going on right here at home. Mason, Tennessee is our focus right now, and I want everybody to continue. As a matter of fact, go ahead and tweet out the hashtag Save Mason TN right now,
That's
so
right.
that we can keep pushing this conversation forward.
That's right.
And just to slightly touch on the Ukraine thing, and I know my views may be offensive to some people and somewhat controversial, but I would compel my brothers and sisters, to those who are championing Ukraine and standing with Ukraine and all in love with Zelensky for invoking, Dr. Martin Luther King. I want you to research the irony in this by just looking up the Azov Battalion, and also look up the how the Ukrainian military is comprised. Who is in that military? I'm not going to say it here because I'm not trying to give you a strike, but I'm just telling you, know who your enemy is and
That's
know
right.
who your allies are, because
That's
a
right.
lot of y'all are out here looking real stupid.
Yeah, let me add one more thing that's just objective, where we don't even have to talk about race. We just talk about numbers. There's 2020 census, there's 47 million African Americans, and we know that's probably an undercount, but let's just stick with that number, right? 47 million. Guess what the population of Ukraine is? 42 million, right? So we essentially have equal populations, but we got billions of dollars flowing abroad and not at home.
Incredible.
Here you go.
Incredible. And you know what? We're the ones who are going to get us out of this. This nation keeps showing us. Whenever the full Senate can have a unanimous vote in favor of keeping daylight saving times permanent, but we are still waiting for a George Floyd in Policing Act. Are you kidding me right now? Stop putting so much in hope in these politicians. They're not going to be the ones. It's going to be you and me, people who look like us, who save towns like Mason.
Yeah, let me add one more thing, because I learned about this late last week. There's Title 42 that Trump implemented, that basically, because of COVID, would asylum seekers would go back home. Yep. Now, Biden just signed an executive order that exempts Ukrainians from Title 42. So Ukrainians are flying to the U.S.-Mexico border and passing the Mexicans and everybody that's like from South America that's been whatever.
Remember what they did to the Haitians?
Yeah, exactly. Even to the Haitians, right? And so, the fact that they're skipping the line is insane to me.
Insane.
And waiving Title 42, that's like the only bulwark we've had against, this colonization.
So they can come in and we don't know what their so-called vaccine status is, because that was the whole thing with the Haitians, right? Oh, we can't, because we don't know their status, and we cannot have them infect our people. But they can just skip the line. And this is called Black Talk Platform. Why? Because this is for the Black community. Anything having to do with our people, that's what this is for. It's open to anyone who wants to watch it, but I'm not going to be unapologetic about my people. Enough of that. We send people to Congress. We send people to our state houses. We have people in our pulpits who look like us, but they won't represent us. I'm telling you, I be in the meetings with them. They're not representing our interests. We have to do it. We are the ones. We are the ones. That's it. Right. It's us. Now let's raise this money for Mason. Let's not allow this man, and it'll just be a stopgap if we're able to do this so that he can get this man to not advance against them on Tuesday. Is it Monday or Tuesday? The 28th, is it?
The 28th is on a Monday.
It's a Monday. Yeah. So he's demanding $22,000 from Mason. Mind you, you heard the mayor say that's over and above their payroll. So I don't know when they're supposed to get paid, but we do know the end of the month is next week. So if he has to pay $22,000 to them, and I think I heard in somebody's spaces yesterday that the payroll is $25,000 a month. Somebody, I don't know who said that, might have been Miss Denise. I don't know. Somebody shared that statistic. But so if they got to put $22,000 towards the water bill, where is
they got double revenue?
But where? From where, right?
Especially but that's an impossible task that is placed on them, which is just another form of extortion. That's gangster moves. That's all they're doing.
Oh yeah.
It's a town of 1,500 people, and their annual income is like average $17,000. And we know nationally the average Black wealth is $17,000. So for them to just have $17K in income tells you everything. Like, to expect these people to be able to keep up their houses, keep up their transportation, their jobs, all these things, and pay all this money that Chris Trimble stole, $600K over 8 years from 07 to 15. Like, you could tell the city has been honest, because if it was actually their mismanagement, the debt would be higher than the actual one they're being levied with, which is
right.
Exactly. What was stolen.
Exactly.
Right. This is crazy. And where's this Chris Trimble today?
Exactly. We need to make it. We go find him.
Yeah, this is really crazy. Did I put the link to the GoFundMe in the chat? I need to put it again. If I did, you see it?
Yeah.
Let me put it again. I don't mind it being all over this thing, because I know some people are not going to necessarily watch till the end. But we are happy putting this in here, and we're hoping that you all can just go ahead. We're not asking you for a limit or minimum. Just support it, because I think the more of us who do it, we'll get to the goal. We'll get to the goal and be able to help this town. 125 plus years of sovereignty, home ownership. And did you all hear the mayor say that many of his residents travel 50 miles? 50 miles. And then you got to come back home. And then if you're the woman, and mostly, come on, let's keep it real, she's probably got to come in, pick up the kids, however they distribute the task in the home. Somebody has to do it when they get off of that 50 mile through traffic, I'm sure. Look, I don't need to paint the picture. Everybody knows that no one really wants to take a job traveling 50 miles away or a round trip 100 miles away from their home. This is hard on these residents. And if the average salary is $17,000, they're doing that on that salary. And as the gas go up, we're grumbling. Nobody wants the gas to go up, but it's got to be that much more difficult for them. So this is just our first step in helping them, trying to save their charter. But then they need to have full access to those 26,000 jobs that are going to be created by the Ford plant. What is it called? Blue Oval City, that's coming through, and it's supposed to be functional by 2025. KD or Eric, did you all hear that Ford is dismayed or they're disturbed by what's going on? But I think I heard the vice mayor say they might be disturbed, but they have not contacted us.
Right. Right, because I asked the mayor that question, and I also asked the NAACP president, Mr. Turner, the question when the vice president of communications from Ford retweeted his response. And I asked the question, has the mayor or the vice mayor been included in this conversation that you had with Ford? I didn't get an answer. So when the mayor was on Denise's spaces the other night, I asked him, were you or the vice mayor included in that conversation? And they both said no.
Wow.
So
Also,
I'm not. I really want to know why they're being left out, and this is why we need to call the governor's office. This is why we need to call the county mayor's office and ask those questions. Who was included? Which mayor was included in the negotiation conversation with Blue Over Ford?
Right.
Why was Mason left out of that conversation? We need to ask these hard questions, family. We need to ask these questions.
Absolutely.
I've also heard that the mayor has a 40-hour-a-week job in addition to being mayor. So it's like the idea that he's doing both is incredible, you know? So we got to understand, like, this is a town of 1,500 people, of less than 1,500 people. So for us to be respectful of that, like, I've only lived in, like, big cities primarily, you know? So we got to respect where they're at and help them, you know, instead of, you know, questioning, you know, why they haven't made X or Y decision, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and to be honest, there's time down the road for that. It's like, if I'm bleeding, please don't ask me what I did to myself to start bleeding. I'm bleeding. Patch me up. Please patch me up. And we can get to what I did. I may have done something that you know, but right now, just stop the bleeding. And that's what we're really asking. We're asking for support to stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. This town deserves to be a part of the economic boom that's about to come. We're in 2022. 2025 is just short 3 years away. That will go and come so fast. But this city deserves to be able to remain sovereign. They are fighting for that. The mayor, you heard him say, he pretty much has the support of the town. You know, listen, I know people don't like this show, but they still peek in. The residents are still the residents, and they still have to follow the leadership that has been selected. So none of us, if you think you're going to get 100% support in anything, think again. That just doesn't happen. But he has the majority of the support, and that's what he needs, because they all know and they all agree on one thing: save our charter so that we can remain independent. And that's all we're trying to do tonight. We're trying to amplify this in a different space, adding to all the spaces on Twitter. Let me tell you, I've been slow. I've just been sort of watching. And so I go in Twitter spaces that mean something to me. And I found my way to these wonderful people. And it's powerful what you all have been doing. What is the tribe that you called it on, KD, so I can put a shout out here for them?
Shout out hashtag secure the tribe. That's who's been they've been a force on these Twitter spaces, so to speak. And you know, I'm just thankful that they allow us to be able to utilize whatever platform that we have to bring awareness to certain situations such as Mason. Yes. You know, without them, I would not have been able to amplify the conversation on social media. Wow. So I just want to give a big shout out to the Secure the Tribe.
Thank
That's
you,
my
Secure
family.
the Tribe.
And I'm grateful for them. Every last one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to add to that, seeing you know, Black people, African Americans, freedmen come together, and you know, the Secure the Tribe come together. You know, putting all of any contentions aside and just coming together to help our people. That just shows how strong we are. You know, like, let's get mad at the right people, not each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that I just want to say that,
Tony, I'm gonna tweet out. I'm gonna tweet that out, and I'm gonna quote you on that.
Oh,
I'm gonna tweet that out right now, and I'm gonna quote you on that, brother.
All right.
Tony said, put the same energy into Mason that you put into Ukraine.
There you go.
Not only that, more, because we're Americans.
Facts.
That's right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the implications of this are huge and damning, and unfortunately, in this country, I think we've lost an understanding of the value of sovereignty, especially over the last 2 years with the response to COVID and these mandates and the authoritarianism that we've seen. I think we've been primed, we've been getting primed for this type of stuff for a long time. And, you know, it's very important that we understand what it is when we're talking about them losing their charter. Losing your charter is losing the ability to make decisions over what takes place in your community. And that in itself should be a huge cause of concern for Black people, particularly because of our experiences in this country. So
Right.
this is something that has to be taken extremely seriously, because no matter what you think, no matter how much you love Democrats or Republicans or whoever these representatives are that you think that you want to deem as authorities over you, you have to understand something. When it comes to the state, when it comes to the United States government, they are not invested in empowering Black people economically, in education, or otherwise.
Right.
Hey Tony, you know what you just made me think of? It's literally taxation without representation, with the comptroller trying to hijack it.
Oh
Literally.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's it. That's
Absolutely.
it. That's it.
I love hearing these young people speak.
I know. No, that's awesome. I am, like I said, listen, I share with the church. Look, I do watch CNN. I don't watch CNN that much, but MSNBC, I have been such a loyal supporter. But then I saw the shift, and the shift is not just from this war. The shift has been taking place gradually to the point where it's almost unrecognizable. And for me, with there being so much Black representation on MSNBC, the president is a Black woman, and that's all well and fine. That's wonderful. But when I turn to MSNBC, and Ali Velshi is the one who does more stories about us in a way that really matters about our daily economic living, I find that there's something wrong with that if it's not the Black voices on that network. And so while there might not be a 100, I mean, look, I'm going where I can find stories about us. For instance, I always recommend Al Jazeera. It used to be Al Jazeera America, right? Well, under the Obama administration, they ran Al Jazeera America out of the country. But it was through Al Jazeera that I learned about the sewage conditions down in Lowndes County, Alabama. You know, it's deplorable. And guess what? It's predominantly Black. So why am I having to go to Al Jazeera? Why am I having to go to Democracy Now, which is a great, she's been consistent for years, Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez. But why aren't, when we are so happy and rallying behind our Black faces being on these national outlets, why aren't they telling these stories? It really puzzles me beyond the economic, beyond the economic. That's it.
That tells us we have to take control of our own media. We have great examples from Ida B. Wells, who had her own newspaper reporting on lynchings that were ignored. We got Frederick Douglass. We got the North Star. We got W.E.B. Du Bois and his newspaper, right? The Black Panther Party had their own newspaper. So we really got to take, our ancestors' path and follow. Yay, Denise is joining us.
Who sent it? I'm glad you sent it to her. Hi, Denise. Hi, come on. We are so happy to have you here. This is the other super dynamic woman who has been galvanizing the troops behind this story. And I've been listening to Denise, KD, and Eric, and others. Denise, welcome to Black Talk Platform. Please come through and share your perspective. You have been an absolute information sharer, and I appreciate you so much. Great to meet you here. I'm Dr. Deborah. That's my friend Tony. I think you know both KD and Eric.
Yeah, thank you. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to be off camera. It's been oh my goodness, it's been a long day.
It's fine. It's fine.
I got a call. I'm sorry, Sister Denise. I got a call that I have to take. It's coming in, so I'm gonna have to get off of camera for a while. But I just want to say thank you for having me on, and thank you for continuing to push the conversation forward. And I enjoyed this past hour that we've been able to build together. I really appreciate you all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all you're doing.
Shout out to you too, KD. Giving you a
too, Eric. Save Mason, Tennessee.
Save Mason, Tennessee.
Yeah, Yeah, so it's been a full day. I'm sorry that I got on late. I just want to amplify everything that folks have shared. The more we dig here, the more we get to see the things that our ancestors likely dealt with times 10, and this is ugly. So. And I think what was shared earlier about the idea that Mason is one example of many towns that probably have fallen unnoticed besides the local people, regional folk. And for us to be made aware of this at this time, I think it's just a powerful testament to how we as Black people, descendants of slaves, freed people, all of it, can leverage technology to know what's happening in our larger world and to be able to bring our spirit, our heart, our talent, our treasure together to make change and hold people accountable in a way that they're probably going to be surprised that we're able to do. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm glad everyone was able to come together for this today.
Absolutely. And we so appreciate what you've been doing. So I'm not sure. Eric was telling us earlier, and I know that you've been sort of the person who has been spearheading the donations directly to the bank. Are we keeping that private? We've shared the GoFundMe. The mayor said both are fine for him and the city. Did you want to share that? Or are we still keeping that private? I just want the monies to come to them, to go to them rather. So you can direct us in that regard, how you want us to get to that. Because some people are just going to feel more comfortable doing it directly, and others will be more comfortable doing the GoFundMe because we are familiar with it. So you tell us how you want us to do that.
Yeah, so one of the hesitations with putting the city's banking information out publicly is I wanted to just be sure that it was set up to only receive for obvious reasons, right?
Of course.
And so I asked the mayor that a couple of times, and I'm still waiting on confirmation for that. So I have never publicly shared the banking information, but I've shared it in DMs with several people, and then they share it with people and so on and so forth. I will say that I did on Twitter put up the mailing address to mail your checks or money orders to. And I'm not sure if I can go out of the app that I'm on to join you today in order to find that without losing you here.
It's okay because I'm going to post this out all week. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter page. And what I can do is I can make sure.
I'll go find it while you're talking.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you caught any of the earlier conversation while the mayor was here, even though he may have shared some of that when you interviewed him in your spaces, but it's like more and more information is coming out, at least from what I've heard when I'm visiting the spaces. It's just ridiculous to the way I feel like it's a full-on attack on Mason, and not only to show us that we can only rise up so far, but also to remind us of our place, according to Mr. What's his name? Mumpower?
Yeah, the comptroller.
Yeah, the comptroller. You know, it's a signal that will reverberate throughout the country if we sit back and allow this to happen.
Yeah, you know, and to be quite honest with you, I think this is like standard operating procedure.
Really?
I think we just had, I mean, yeah.
Wow.
I think people are so practiced at getting what they want and running over Black Americans that this is just, it's a thing, you know, it's business in a way. You hit them hard, you hit them fast, you knock them off their feet, you put them in a corner, you make them feel like they don't have any choices, and then they kowtow to you. And I think the way that this town is being held hostage with this, reallocation of funds from the water and sewer district is an example of that. So I didn't hear all the conversation from today, and I'm not sure how much was recapped from the clubhouse room that others hosted today. But, you know, the idea from there was that, you know, the county executive had pulled funding from Mason. Did y'all talk about that for pull, thank you for that, I see it.
Sure.
Pull funding
Thank you,
from
Eric.
Mason for law enforcement and emergency response because of some of the things related to Trimble and how they told them, if you relinquish your charter, we'll take care of the debt, right? Where it's really about relieving these Black leaders of their decision-making power about what
Absolutely.
happens to their town in the process of the county building it out in order to take advantage of this expansion and Ford's investment there. Also, what was revealed to me in another conversation this afternoon was that one of the members on the board, who is an immigrant, has said some really nasty things to people. This is what this person told me, is how I identify them, because they said they were concerned for their safety if they were to go to the media. That this person had told the folks that they needed to go back to Africa if they were dissatisfied with stuff. They talked about how Mason has 6 lagoons that the city wants to be able to, or the county wants to be able to leverage as they're looking at sewage and wastewater, as well as getting water into the Blue Oval City, and that might be one of the reasons they're looking by relieving Mason's administrators of their power. The county, and thus the state, can determine what would happen when and how. Right, so that typical, we're gonna buy out your Black neighborhood and put a highway here, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Where there's an on and off ramp where Grandma house used to be, right? And then another thing they mentioned is that there was a meeting tomorrow. And did y'all talk about the address for that meeting tomorrow?
No.
Okay, so there's a meeting tomorrow between the mayor and the comptroller, and I did receive the address for that. People were asking because they wanted to show up and support.
Good.
So here's what I'm going to say. This is just for folks on Twitter. They know how I kind of get down. So do your thing, and remember that we are there to support the interests and needs of the mayor and the region. And we want to be whatever we're going to be in terms of being serious about letting people know that there is wind in the wings of Mason to push them forward, to defend them, to carry them forward, and the like, while also not being destructive in our doing the same. So that's my motivational speech on that. So the address for the meeting tomorrow. 225 Dr. MLK Drive, 4th floor, Jackson, Tennessee.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because in my head, I'm thinking it's going to be there in, you have the time as well?
Oh, you know what? What
quicker than me, Tony.
Oh, what time did they say? I think it was 10, but let me confirm that with her.
Okay. We will get the time for everyone. And Eric, while Denise is doing that, does anyone, I couldn't find it, and maybe I didn't look long enough. What major city is Mason near? Where are people driving 50 miles to work?
That's actually a really great question. I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay. I know it's in the western part, and that's a distance from Nashville and the like, I suppose. But nevertheless, important to us. Yep. Dr. MLK Drive. And I wish that we could go down there, and the reality is, I think we need to, while we're trying to help raise funds for Mason, we're going to have to think long term, right? We're going to have to be like nomads at the ready to go and support, especially in a town that's 1,500 people, right? Some will be able to take off tomorrow to be there in support of what the mayor and his team is trying to do to save their charter. And others have no choice but to go to work. And I don't mean like this activism that we've seen in response to things, but we have to be able to support in numbers sometimes too. That's what my friend Tandra was talking about. and we're not always able to do so, and so I think if we think long term, because I think this is a movement that you all have started, Eric, over on the Twitter spaces, the Secure the Tribe people, the Save Mason TN hashtag, and I'm happy to hear that it's happening in Clubhouse. I certainly reached out to one of the leaders I follow in Clubhouse who has a massive following and asked him to share it with everybody over there tonight, because this is that important. But we're going to have to figure out a long-term solution, because as you, Tony, and Denise have both said tonight, this is just the example for today. There are other towns that we don't know about, and these things continuously are happening, and we have to be able to respond quickly. You got it, Denise?
Yes, it's Memphis is the closest big city.
Yeah, it's about 25 to 30 miles northeast of Memphis.
Oh, okay. And I tagged a lot of people tonight from Memphis, but that's major. That's really major. That's really major to know that. I had no idea. Denise, you got that time?
I'm still waiting on confirmation. I thought it was 10, but I want to definitely confirm that.
Awesome. Okay. And we're going to start rounding down, but we are so happy that you all are here. Let's run those links again. We put the address for where you can mail to the city, so that, and let me see what was the in addition to the address, who are they making the payment to? The town of Mason. That's who we're making payments out to.
City of Mason.
Mm-hmm. City of Mason.
And then in that tweet, you should see the memo or 4 line. I think it says something to the tune of repayment of. Can you read that properly from that tweet that you copied there? It's something about the repayment of water fund to. Do you have it?
Eric, you have it?
Yes, water and sewer. Should be to the water and sewer company.
No, so the 4 line needs to say something along the lines of repayment of water and sewer to general fund. There's like a quoted text in the tweet that they want to just have on the 4 line or the memo line. And that way, as they are doing their record keeping about the donation and the check number, money order, or whatever, they can really reconcile it and keep things in order. Okay. So it's made out to the city of Mason, and what it's for is for that repayment of the water fund from general fund.
Okay. And that's the $22,000 that the mayor was speaking about, that's being demanded as an installment payment before anything else is paid. And that includes their city services, that includes their city employees. I think he said he has 26. He lost 2 police officers, and they are not trying to backfill them, not with him at the leadership. It's just incredible. I can't even get over this. This is so crazy. Let me run the GoFundMe again. I'm going to drop it down here. And I believe even if you are unable to go link for link, that's fine. Just go to GoFundMe and put in Mason, Tennessee. You'll find it.
If you know one of us directly, reach out for the banking information directly, and we can share that we got from Denise from the mayor directly. So we got a solution either way. So make sure you just reach out and help.
That's right. So we're offering 3 options for supporting this. What's the number? What's that telephone?
Oh, that's just my number to text me, so I can send you the information you need. Okay. Yes, okay, I don't read that.
I'm not sharing that. Okay. Yes. We have 3 methods of supporting Mason. Let's show the world that we can indeed do this, because we know we can. Don't forget, we are a am I right? $6 trillion economy of our own, just of our own, as our own selves. We can do this. We do it for less than. I believe some new Jordans are coming out in a couple of weeks. That's $600,000. is going to be raised in one town, not across the country, because that is where we put our treasure, in some sneakers. But what if we turn that treasure into ourselves? What if we looked in the mirror and saw the people's faces in Mason, Tennessee as our own faces? And some will have to sacrifice, others have it sitting around. Whatever the case, you can mail it, you can go fund it. I'm going to get the information, and Eric is going to get the information, and Tony's going to get the information from Denise as to how you can directly deposit into the City of Mason's bank account, directly into their bank account. If that's your preference, there is a way for you to help. And this is not limited to us, because we know that there are others who may want to support, but we are speaking directly to us, because we have to learn how to help each other and help our own. We just have to. We have to. It's been done before. We can do it again. Don't talk about a Black Wall Street when you won't save this town from going under. It's just not being burnt. It's just not being burnt. Go ahead, Eric.
Deborah, so one of the things, because you just mentioned our annual income of being like around 2 trillion, right? If you check what Ukraine is, because we mentioned we have similar populations, theirs is 150 billion. So we're doing like 10 times the work in a year that every person in Ukraine is with the same population.
Wow.
So we really don't understand how much we're not being served by our own country if we're not even given the 15 billion, and we need 14 trillion at least by Darity's and Mullen's calculation.
Oh my goodness. Did you all hear that? You had to have heard Eric give us the comparison in terms of population size of Ukraine to ours as African Americans or Black Americans over here. They have 45 million people, and they say, or they want us to believe, that there are only 47 million of us over here. Our economic power is almost $2 trillion. Their entire economy, am I right? Is that what you said?
Their entire economy, 150 billion a year. So we're 10 times bigger than their entire economy. And just Freedman, just the 47 million of us.
And our government is giving them more. I'm pretty sure I can predict that the United States will help in the rebuilding of Kyiv and other towns that are being destroyed in this war. I want to bet, I'm not a betting person, but I'd be willing to bet that our country will do that. Meanwhile, like I just told you, Lowndes County, unless somebody has some updates, Lowndes County, Alabama, still with the sewer in the backyard,
And
our
Flint,
people.
Michigan too, right? I don't think they fixed Flint yet either.
No, in Flint, the water's still, I think I have relatives there. I think they're still doing the bottled waters more or less, and the kids have been irreparably damaged by that water. It's so much. And we will not assist Haiti. That's right. My friend said that, and we will not assist Haiti. And if we won't assist Haiti, we know there's little hope for us here in Mason, Tennessee. We are those people. So let's do it, everybody.
So let me say something briefly on that, because like with the Haiti situation with the Afghans, for example, the French people owe the Haitians reparations, and America has diplomatic relationships with France. So we could have easily housed and closed the Haitians and sent them on a nice flight to France and said, unless you want more weapons and aid from us, take in these Haitians that you've deprived and forced to pay reparations. They had to pay reparations back to the French for their rebellion, the revolution that succeeded. And then in Afghanistan, you got Saudi Arabia. Osama bin Laden was a Saudi prince. So I would have sent all the Afghanis to Saudi Arabia and would have told them, unless you want these military weapons and training and maintenance and money and aid, you better take in these Afghans that you basically disrupted this area. And that's how we have to look at it. We got to make people responsible for the harm that they caused.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that goes against American imperialism. So that's a whole entirely different conversation. We know, the system of government we live under, but and it's not in our best interest.
And listen, I there are great people running against incumbents in Congress, including the Congressional Black Caucus. there are great people running against them. I think a part of the problem in Black America, those of us who care about politics because we know it has its place, even though it doesn't serve us well as a people, is that we become so comfortable with what we have that we won't even give a chance to voices that are new. For instance, there is a brother who's been supporting this movement, Marcel for Congress, right? Down in South Carolina. He's going up against a big well.
Yeah, we endorse him at the Freedman party.
I love it.
Yeah, Tamara Johnson Shealy, as
Yes.
well as Reverend Somerville, who's running in California, actually in the same district that when I moved to Long Beach when I was in elementary and middle school, that's the same district he would be over. So it's kind of amazing to see all these things come together. And my grandma's from King Street, South Carolina, where Marcel is basically from. So
wow,
like all these things are connected as a family, you know.
They are, and you have to give them a chance, but we won't give them a chance, and that's why you won't see that kind of support for Haiti. You won't, because you don't have the Congressional Black Caucus keeping the pressure. Brittany Grenier, you know, it's almost like Sheila Jackson Lee is a lone voice down in Texas saying, release our girl, bring her, let her come home. And then I understand that the White House finally said something last week, but now Russia has said she has to stay there until May. I feel like they said Malcolm X's birthday. I feel like that. I could be wrong, but I know it's in May.
She's a hostage, essentially.
She's what? She's a hostage. I heard that. You know, it's, but, and the point that we're talking about these things is that if we can't get our representatives, and I think, Tony, you alluded to this earlier, if we can't get those we elect to go and act on our behalf, then why are we repeatedly electing them? They're not operating. You know why? One of the reasons why the George Floyd and Policing Act has not passed? Because the person that Marcel is running against, he's in Congress. But while Tim Scott and Cory Booker were trying to negotiate it, Marcel's opponent came out and said, "Oh, well, what is it? Qualified immunity is off the table." Why? Because that's really the only thing that can hold cops accountable to us, right? So once that went away, there went the bill as well. And what do we have? Zero. We have nothing. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, to add to that, if you've heard what Dick Gregory says, and actually someone today literally made a reference on IG that I saw, and they were talking about how Dick Gregory said, once you start attacking their money, their pensions, and say, we're going to take your pension if you commit one of these, we're going to take away your money and harm the police's budget, all these things, they won't do anything unless we attack their wallets.
Right.
And then are you familiar with the Emmett Till bill, anti-lynching bill? That got only 3 out of the 435 people in the House, only 3 opposed it. And in the Senate, it passed unanimously. It still hasn't been signed by the president. But if you read the bill, it's 2 paragraphs that addresses lynching and conspiracies to lynch. And the maximum fine is 30. The maximum sentence is 30 years or a fine or both. Can you believe that? That's what they named the Emmett Till. And it was sponsored by Representative Bobby Rush, Cory Booker, Tim Scott, and Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And that was the most that they could get. That's the most that they could get to pass it. And that really doesn't say a lot, right? It really doesn't. And I know Representative Rush is retiring, so that's really a good thing that he pushed it through. And I think we applaud these half efforts, and they come across as half efforts because if they start out up here and the only way they can get the support to get it passed, they water it down to what you just said or anything similar to that. Well, what are we really getting?
But it's all disingenuous.
My big pushback on that is there's the bill that have you heard of the Asian American hate crime bill? That's actually called the COVID hate crime bill, essentially, COVID hate crime bill. And if you read it, it's like way longer than our bill. It mentions specifically like the Asian American community and Pacific Islanders.
And it gives them money.
Yeah, and money, online reporting. They even have alternate sentencing where you have to, even if you get out afterwards, you have to supervised release. You'll be under supervised release, and you have to take courses, educational courses, community courses with the community that you harmed. So if you read the bill, it's way better. It's the bill that we should have had.
Right, but the thing,
it passed a year before Bobby Rush got this through.
Right, but even with that bill, most people don't even realize that the anti-Asian hate crimes total less than 1/11th the amount of hate crimes against Black people in this country. Yet they still got a bill, they got money, they got all of this national attention, and they, I mean, the amount of anti-Asian hate crimes totaled in the hundreds, while the amount of anti-Black hate crimes was in the thousands. So I think that should tell us something. And I know I get it when we talk about these anti-lynching bills and things like that. That's just a certain type of way of murdering us. I mean, I think we look for these symbolic victories with these disingenuous legislations that they put forward in order to distract us from the fact that they're just giving us empty symbolism while they offer everyone else tangible policies. So for me, if it doesn't do anything to empower us economically, I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. But, you know, that's another conversation. I could go deep into that. But
I'm in 100% agreement with exactly what you just said. And did you see the hair bill, the anti-hair discrimination?
Yeah, they're now allowing us
Crown
to
Act.
wear our hair the way we want to wear it. That's not a victory.
What blew my mind is like, where does our civil rights end? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll finally allow you to be yourself. What? Come on, bro.
Yeah, living Black in America. I would say, if you haven't already, I'm going to go ahead and do a shameless plug. If you haven't read my December article for Newsweek called "Is It Time for Black America to Break Up with the Democratic Party?" I invite you to do so.
Oh, yes.
I did. I had no idea it was you. I read that. Oh my goodness, that was awesome.
And as I always do, I bring the fire for both and all parties. So I am not partisan in any way. I am about all Americans first, and that includes Black people, and they have a significant debt to pay in delivering on that for us. So check that out and let me know what you
love
think.
what you just said.
Do you have the link?
As far as, you know, being nonpartisan, because I am nonpartisan as well. However, there's a certain trend that whenever you call out the Democratic Party, you're immediately labeled as being, you know, right wing or conservative,
right, the opposite,
things of that nature. So for me, I find that it is more essential for us, even though sometimes we may be misconstrued or misperceived intentionally, to call out the Democratic Party, even if it means we're not talking about Republicans right now, because it's really tiresome that people love to evade accountability by always defaulting to it's both sides. Then you never get to focus on the problem. So while I do acknowledge that the Republican Party is problematic, and we know both are two wings to the same dirty bird, I believe that we have an even greater responsibility in this time that we are in right now to call out the Democratic Party, hold them responsible, because they hold all the positions in government, and they are inundating us with the heaviest amount of authoritarianism and fascism, in my opinion, that we've ever seen in this country. And it's dangerous, and it's, for me, you got to worry about the person who is posing as a friend to you and slipping that knife in your back, as opposed to the person who's telling you he hates you to your face. But that's just me.
Yeah, I hear that. And so there are ways that the Biden administration's neglect and negligence is just especially egregious, right? When he stood on stage and thanked Black people, Black America, and promising to have Black America's back. And you see what has happened for every other group by name and hasn't happened for Black America. So one of my secret, and I don't even think it's benign, I think it's malignant at this point. It's malicious at this point. It's intentional at this point, right?
Agreed.
Because we understand, and they understand, that specificity matters, because they've been quite specific with other people and have been this entire time. So one of my secret, not so secret, ambitions is to, because they feel that Black Americans, so there are two things. Democrats feel that Black Americans are a captured vote, that we got them. And you know how that works. When somebody think they got you, they don't have to work, right, to keep you. And then Republicans Republicans feel that we don't want to hear what they have to say. So why
So we're
court the
not
black
worth it.
vote? There's some ways we've shown up like that, right? And so what I've been encouraging people to do is find out, when do the Republicans, the Green Party, the Libertarians, all of them have meetings in your area, and just go sit in the room. You don't have to necessarily say anything, but if you have something to say something. But just show up. And I would love to see, to be honest with you, 35% of the black vote go somewhere else.
Anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere else.
Yep.
Let me say a quick fact. This is by Gallup. 29% of Americans are registered Republicans and 29% are registered Democrats. 41% are registered independent. So if we vote according to our party registrations, we would blow them out of the water.
I actually think those numbers have changed, though. I think the amount of independent voters has grown since
it's definitely grown since that last
poll. Yeah, absolutely. But for me, I just think that the easiest way for us to kind of dismiss the quote unquote other side is by labeling them. And that's what, for me, both parties are in that habit. You know, like if you have an opinion, oh, yep, that's a right winger. Oh, that's a left winger. And it's very easy for you to dismiss what could be otherwise valuable information when you just default to labeling someone as other. And we don't realize that we spend so much time fighting these battles that are being spoon-fed to us by people who don't have our best interest at mind. So, like, at all. So I encourage people to engage in, get uncomfortable, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and engage in conversation with people that you don't normally agree with or that you don't even like. You'll learn something.
Absolutely. And I've been doing quite a bit of that. And let me tell you, and I've said this here before because Tony and I used to do these a lot and we discussed these. Denise, I'm pretty sure I shared your article back then. Tony, this shouldn't be totally unfamiliar with you because I thought the title was so provocative, but it was certainly the way I'm feeling. I can count on this one hand how many Democrats I support, when I was raised, as many of us were, to support them wholesale. I will never again in my life support the Democratic Party wholesale. And it is person by person. And to be honest with you, those who I do continue to support are local. And that's where the politics really matter to us as a people, on the local level. I support my city councilman. I support my state senator. I support my U.S. congressman. At this point, that's 3, right? That's where it is. Everybody else needs to work hard if they want my vote and the influence that my vote brings with it. I'm serious, because enough of the
hyperpartisanship.
Well, definitely that's so gone. That's so gone. But you know what? I lost a whole lot of so-called friends over this stance. I lost a whole lot of so-called friends because I continuously and repeatedly said, but you all told us to vote as if our lives depended on it. But you all told us to vote as if our lives depended on it.
The Justice Department, if you don't vote for me.
Oh God!
From the horse's mouth, right? This this Department of Justice has kept intact so many of the Trump era rules that there's very little daylight. And I remember how everybody was like, "Oh, McConnell kept Obama's pick of Merrick Garland from the Supreme Court." Well, look at what we might have gotten. More of the same, because there really isn't much difference. But what's happening is you hear so much silence from those who said you must do this as if your life depended on it. They're afraid to come out of the woodworks now and say, oops, I was wrong. I'm sorry. They don't want to do that because egg will be on their faces when the warning signs about this person who is the president of the United States were always there.
I think, just to kind of just sum it up, I think that this government and its elected officials, the political parties, corporations, the mainstream media, they all view Black people in America as political children, and they treat us as such. They treat us as if we are an easy, a sure thing, no matter which way you look at it. We are very predictable. I believe that we are used as political footballs. We're used as a tool in order to push whatever agenda either side wants. And at this point, especially as it pertains to the Democratic Party, they don't even see a need to even show any degree of respect to us anymore. And they don't even believe that they even need to promise us anything in return for our vote. So, whenever Black people speak up in as far as leveraging your vote, as far as demanding something in return, quid pro quo, there should never be a voice that is elevated to disparage that person. They did it with Ice Cube. They did it with a whole bunch of Black people who said, even with the whole movement about what ADOS and reparations, a lot of our own white media designated Black representatives were calling us Russian bots for demanding tangibles for Black people. So we've become hooked on spoon-fed propaganda, and we are being told what our opinions must be. See, we were told what they should be, but now we're being told what they must be via censorship and other things that we're seeing right now on social media and other places. So I think when I like you see Tamika Mallory wrote her book, State of Emergency, we are in a state of emergency. And it's time for us to start waking up, and we got to take those of us in the know must utilize this time to find a way of breaking the trance, as my friend Dr. Cleo Monago says, breaking the trance that some of us are trapped under. And we have to find a way to better communicate with people in order to get them to understand the amount of trouble that we are in right now. Sorry to go so long, but I'm very passionate about it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And just as we begin to wrap it up here, I think that there needs to be much more of this. And I'm not talking about just talking. I think what we're here tonight doing is an action piece. We need to discuss the issues and then come out with our sleeves rolled up and ready to take action, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Mason or wherever else in California, wherever the need is. And we're not getting it while we're stuck on the mainstream media, which is why when you write an article in Newsweek, Denise, we have to go and see it. We have to read it word for word. And then we need to go back and share it on every platform that we are on. And if it's one of the audio platforms, guess what we need to do? Get on there and read it so that we can discuss it and have a healthy conversation around it's time for us to break up with the Democratic Party, because that's a boyfriend that I no longer want.
It's
the Democratic Party.
Right.
They look at us like this cause.
It's an abusive relationship.
Absolutely. And we were talking about respect. I think there are ways we anticipate people understand our needs, because who we are is such a through line of what America is, and what has happened to us is such a through line in what America is. We think people know how to go about addressing that. I don't think it's rocket science. And at the same time, I don't know that they do. And I don't know that they have the spine to do it. So I think we're going to have to assume that they need to be taught by us and stand up for our boundaries, right? You ain't going to get a vote for free, as well as our unique understanding of our lived experience and what needs to happen from a political, social, and economic perspective to repair us. I haven't gotten a text back yet with that time. Again, I think it is 10. I will confirm that as well. I will also tweet that out. And Deborah, I will text you. I thank you for giving me your information. Sure. It is great to meet you officially, Deborah, Eric, and Tony. Yes. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, Denise. And keep writing. Keep writing.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care. What Denise said really quickly. I went back through, because I was curious, how we know like GDP per capita, for example, like these metrics. Right now in the US, it's like $60K per American citizen, right? Now I wanted to know, okay, that's the value of our dollar, per citizen. What's the value of our vote per citizen? So I went back through from 2000 to 2020, and I looked at how much votes each party got, how much total both parties got, and then I looked at campaign spending. So if you divide total campaign spending by total votes for both parties, you can get the value of a vote per citizen. So in 2000, it was $33 per vote. So basically, the parties are spending $33 in 2000 to get a vote. By 2016, it went up to $50 per vote. And in 2020, it went up almost 100% to $90 per voter. And if you break it down by party, the Democrats basically spent almost twice the amount than the Republicans in this last election. That's how terrified they were to get votes.
Personally,
Well,
I
I
believe
expect them to have to break the bank for
I was thinking the same.
I was
2024.
surprised at how small it was. $90
2022.
small as
Yeah, 2022. I hear you. Yeah,
Pers-
that's some really great research there. Yeah,
That
please do
is.
tweet that out, share that out.
definitely. I'll retweet it. I made it. I gotta repost it.
personally,
right.
I think the value of our vote is worthless if there's no threat of losing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely,
Well, there's that.
There is that. Yeah, I think they're about to get a shellacking in November. I really do.
They will.
And then 2024 might also be some of the same. And so, yes, Eric, we're going to elect you our local statistician here because you got those numbers rolling. Listen, I'm so grateful for all of you and those who are watching on YouTube and on Twitter and the spaces that Eric opened up and here on Facebook. This is such a serious matter. And of course, as we always do on Black Talk, we go into other areas because there's so much about our community that needs to be amplified. And we do it here as often as we can on Black Talk platform. I'm so grateful to Eric, Denise, KD, the Mayor Gooden. We want you, those of you who pray like I pray for him and his team for tomorrow at this meeting, whether it's at 10 a.m. or any other time in Jackson, Tennessee. They need those who will be supporting them. Whatever you do, just send out good vibrations, prayers, all of the stuff that's out there to support people. Please do that because this is a huge battle. It's not something that we can sneeze at. This is serious and it has implications for all of us. Eric told us 47 million. We know it's more, but that's the official number. It has implications for all 47 million Blacks in this country. And we have to stand with them. They are our people. We are them. Okay. You all have the last word tonight. Start with you, Eric. Thank you so much for this partnership.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Deborah Jenkins, for putting this together. Getting the mayor to come in. Tony, nice to meet you. Denise, great to have you in here. I'm so glad you joined, Denise, because I wanted to have you and KD because you two were like two strong Black women that were, foraging things. And shout out to you, Dr. Deborah Jenkins, as well, because you're another. So, I mean, that to me is just super inspirational. The Freedman men need to catch up to y'all. So I'm representing right now. So I really love y'all and I really appreciate the work y'all do.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you guys are always in the spaces. You're asking the probing questions. You're bringing that different analytic lens. You're handling when people get out of line and get a little spicy sometimes with whatever they're doing and saying. So we do it all together, and I appreciate that. Yeah, and thank you. It's great to meet you, Dr. Jenkins. Great to meet you, Tony, and of course to meet you too, Eric. So just stay tuned. I know if I'm not sharing it, KD will, and her crew. So this is the work.
This is the work. Thank you, Denise. Tony?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm really happy and encouraged to see the level of commitment from so many young people now. As a Gen X and the older generation, old school, it warms my heart to see so many young people like you guys so committed to this, and it just gives me hope. And I would just say, continue with that fiery spirit that you have, because I believe a revolutionary spirit will be found in the young people, not in the old. Absolutely. Even though some of us are still here fighting, but we support you. Just so you know, we support you. And as far as all of us, collectively supporting each other, we have to understand that as Black people, the first place that we should look for an ally is in our own community. and we need to get used to seeing each other as family,
That's right.
as instead of competition or a foe or whatever else. You know, social engineering has, you know, kind of propagandized into us. All right. Oh, and vote policy, not party.
Love it. Love it. Now, I know you all have journeyed here with me tonight for 2 hours. I hope you come back for our regular show tomorrow, where I have Dr. Tanji Scott. I'm continuing to celebrate Black women for Women's History Month. 7 o'clock right here, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. God bless you all. See you again. Hopefully tomorrow, if you're not too tired. God bless you all.
Yeah, God bless
Share
y'all.
this, share this, share this, share this. Send donations, send donations.
That's right.
Hold on, everybody.